Up next on the day beer review, we're going to be looking at Pecans in Paradise. This is an Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with coconuts, pecans, and vanilla by Prairie Artisan Ales, and it's coming in at 14.7% ABV. Check it out. Hi everybody, it's Rich and welcome to the day beer review, and today we are looking at Pecans in Paradise. This is an Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with coconuts, pecans, and vanilla. Now, it doesn't say it on the bottle, but this comes in at 14.7% ABV. So this is a beast. Some good artwork on the bottle. And I have never heard of Prairie Artisan Ales, but I do know that this brewery is in Oklahoma. Now, you know, I like pecans, I like chocolate, I like bourbon, and I do know, by the way, sort of a cool sort of fish cap there. I do know that there's a version of this aged in rum casks. This is not, this says it is aged in bourbon barrels. I went and I checked. So let's crack this open. All right. And unfortunately, a little bubbling on top. Not the end of the world, but a little. Actually, it didn't even spill over. Not bad. All right, I am using a snifter glass for this. And let's see how it pours. It pours a pretty dark brown. You know, it actually is also very, very thick. It's almost pouring like a syrup as it comes out. Oh, it's got a lovely nose. The bourbon on top with a good layer of chocolate. You know, I'm not getting a lot of coconut. What I am getting is sort of a sugary sweetness there. There might be a hint of coconut in the background, but it's not, you know, really, really forward. Bourbon, chocolate, some char. I mean, the nose is beautiful. Let's see what it tastes like. All right, I'm going to pause here because I'm going to sneeze. All sorts of edits here. Out under the day beer review. Oh, that sneeze actually hurt. All right. Yeah, that sneeze really hurt right in here. All right, there we go. Oh, it's like a muscle sprain. Okay, let's go back to this. 3, 2, 1. You know, it's so decadent. It's very thick, has a really nice flavor to it. Starts off chocolate with that bourbon char in the background. Finishes sweet on the back of the tongue. Very nice. I'm getting a little bitterness right as you swallow, but then the bitterness seems to go away. You know, the only thing I don't like about it... Alright, so let's see if I can go through this. So as you drink this, a good amount of chocolate, a good amount of char. You know, the bourbon is a major player here. There's a nice sweetness on the back of the tongue. But there's also this bitterness that's there that I'm not an enormous fan of. I guess it's almost like that sort of hoppy bitterness. The other thing that I don't like is that bitterness seems to be cumulative. As I'm drinking it, I'm getting more of that bitterness. sort of like building up on the back of the tongue. Now, carbonation is perfect, but, and I know it's a 14.7% ABV beer, there is a significant burn as it goes down. So, you know, is it a well-crafted beer? I really think it is. I think it's very nice. For me, it's a little hot at 14.7, like the burn. It's not like drinking a spirit. That, you know, like, I'm not going to try to say that. And there's no overwhelming aroma of ethanol. There's no like crazy, like the ethanol is not interfering with the flavor profile, but it does burn. It's not like one of those stouts that I really admire that just hide the burn almost from beginning to end. This, you could feel the burn right about here going down to the belly. It's nice, it's warming, but it's more than I would like. My big problem with this beer is that sort of hoppiness on the back end. I'd like it to be a little bit more mellow. Now, that being said, would I drink this again? All right, so this is where it gets a little weird. I am very glad I'm drinking this. I think it's very good. I like the flavor combination. I don't love the burn. I don't love that cumulative hoppiness that's there, or bitterness on the back end. But the thing that would stop me from buying this again is that where I bought it, this 12-ounce bottle was $16.98. So, you know, think about that. What is that? Basically $64 a 4-pack or something like that. I'm doing the math badly or just incorrectly. It's not a bad beer, but I think it's a prohibitively expensive one. It's not one that I would be hunting for again. Am I glad I tried it? Absolutely. Would I go out and buy another one of these if I was having a tasting here at the bar? Maybe, but, you know, like, not if there were other things that I knew, you know, were more mellow. I really think this burns as it goes down, and I think that's sort of a detracting factor from the beer. Overall, it's a well-crafted, nice bourbon barrel-aged stout. I just think the way they put it together, it could be a little mellower, and honestly, I don't really blame them for the higher price. You know, bourbon barrels are not cheap. Leaving the beer in the barrel for an extended amount of time before you can reprop it is not cheap. So I don't blame them for, you know, the price, especially not when you think about it's coming from Oklahoma to New York. You know, it's got to get here, it's got to do all of that. That being said, you know, would I buy it again? Probably not. Not for that price. I don't blame them. I just think that in my area, there are other ones that I would go for first before I would go for this one. Now, should you try it if you see it out there in the wild? Absolutely. And if you can get this cheaper, like I think I saw it online for $12.99 a bottle, that's not bad if you can get that, you know, but then you factor in the shipping, I guess, you know, like maybe then, again, we get to that prohibitively expensive beer. So do I think it's worth $16.98? Well, I completely understand where that price comes from. It's not a beer I'm going to hunt down again. It's not a bad beer. I think it does exactly what it says it's going to do. And, you know, I think it's actually quite nice. But again, for me, in New York, a little bit expensive. If you see it out there and you can get it, you know, at a lower price, I would definitely give it a try. And, you know, like, I know this has been stored well, but I'm also looking at the bottle and I see that it says that this was, does this say, yeah, I think this bottle was from 2023, which, you know, it's aged nicely. It's not a bad beer. It's just, you know, like I said, for $16, to me, it seems a little pricey for the amount of beer you get and, you know, for the beer itself. Would I get it again? Probably not. Do I think it's a bad beer? No. Do I think it's worth trying out? I do. But again, $16, $17 for a bottle, to me that seems a little high. Anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this review of Pecans in Paradise. Once again, this is an Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with coconut, pecans, and vanilla by Prairie Artisanal Ales. I will be looking for other stuff by Prairie Artisanal Ales to see what else they put out, because I think they are a good, competent brewery. And I just think I might be getting sticker shock from the beer that's out there now. And like when you are paying $16 or $17 for a bottle, you know, one bottle, you know, I want to be dazzled by that beer. And it's good. It's very competent. It doesn't, you know, stun me. No. Might it stun you? It might. Give it a try if you have it in your area. Anyway, folks, I am going to sit back, enjoy the rest of this, and I'll see you next time on End of the Day Beer Review. Cheers.